Maybe. Hold on, girls. I'm going to get us. I almost went live in the room.
Oh, gosh.
That's the wrong place. Okay. Yay. We are live. You guys on your end, girls, will you look and see? Because if I have Facebook pulled up while we're live, it gives me some crazy feedback. You guys see us live over there?
We are live. No comments yet.
Okay. Are we in Robbie's gathering place?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay, so it's 9. Yay! Okay, good morning, everyone. Wait, I'm looking at the wrong camera. I'm looking down here. Good morning, everybody. Robbie here and all the girls ready to pour into you girls on our almost done part of one of the meatiest books, meatiest books that I've read in a long time. And we all gather here for Soar, right? We all know what book this is. I could sit here and just tell you everything that I've even taken out of not only the book, but watching T.D. Jakes. And, you know, I've always thought T.D. Jakes was a huge pastor. And T.D. Jakes is a huge entrepreneur. And one of his legs of entrepreneurship is pastoring. And so it's amazing just that little perspective shift when you begin to realize this man is very wise. He's very, very wise. And so this book is a huge manual on business. I hope you guys are not taking for granted the meat that you're getting, because your business may be actual business. Your business may be numbers and charts. Your business may be production. Your business may be revenue. Your business may be raising your kids. Your business may be whatever it may be. The strategy in here, you guys, is off the charts. And so I was telling the girls this morning, I said, what I love to watch is this. And this is just some spiritual wisdom for you guys. When you begin to see the same message revolve around everything that you hear, understand that you clearly lean in a little bit closer. When God wants to show something, he will tell people the same messages. And if you listen, you begin to hear things differently. And maybe it's not that you've never realized it. Maybe it's that you didn't pay attention to it. If you got on my call, my training last night, you know, I talked about be aware of the details. This book is telling us be aware of the details. And for myself as a teacher, as someone who's in the word, as someone who delivers a message, as someone who's prophetic, when he shows me something, I begin to go into action to train it. Well, he had apparently already showed T.D. Jakes this message for such a time as this. See, T.D. Jakes didn't write this book last month. He didn't even write this book this summer. He probably wrote this book at the beginning of last year as God gave him strategy of what was to come. So I want you to sit and I want you to think, why do I feel like I'm hearing the same thing over and over? That's great news for you. And so if you are in an actual business of production of revenue, of money, of income, of those kind of things, this is going to fire you up because it's just a little bit of an edge into some realities that most people don't want to talk about. It's like I shared last night. We can get stuck on the numbers. Just tell me, how many people do I need to talk to? Tell me, how many cold calls do I need to make? Tell me, how many t-shirts do I need to sell? Tell me, how many tests do I need to pass? Just tell me a number. And a lot of people in different industries live that way. But in all reality, it's not the tangibles that you see. Yeah, we're good. Thank you, babe. It's not the tangibles all the time. It's these intangibles that'll make or break your business. You guys know one of my favorite business books is Business Ground Rules by Tony Jerry. And it's the things nobody really wants to talk about. It's the attitudes. It's how you dress. It's the 90% of you is nonverbal communication. It's the perspective. It's the show up early, stay late. It's the don't be late. It's the let your word be your word. It's the stop making excuses. Everybody wants to go, that has nothing to do with my success. Oh, yes, it does. It has everything to do with your success. And so as we begin this section 3 of Soar, I just wrote down, girls, I'm just going to throw these out there and then you guys can take it away. I wrote down what's resounding. Especially, I'm sure you guys can imagine, as I had my training prepared for last night, 80 minutes of strategy, and then I engage in section 3, I thought, whoa. And then yesterday morning, our senior pastor, Toby, comes up to us and he says, you guys have got to be here on Sunday. I am giving up a weekend in December to bring in a marketplace minister who believes that God will call you to the marketplace where you can make multiple millions. And he didn't call you to be a pastor. He goes, every time we have talked, I've thought about the pages. And so guess who's going to be in the seat, ready and excited to listen to yet another angle of the strategy that God's instilling in me, that I'm reading in Soar, and now that this guy's going to bring. He's made multiple millions in the business industry. And you guys, I remember clearly when Robert Morris said to Brian and I, he's the senior pastor of Gateway Church, he said to us at a dinner, he said, if he hasn't called you to be a pastor, he's called you to shine in the workplace. Are you wasting your time waiting to teach a Bible study, waiting to be women's minister, waiting to teach a sermon? He's not asking you to do that. He's asking you to make a difference exactly where you're planted. And so all this is hitting us. It's all hitting us. And Toby said clearly yesterday, the word that God keeps showing me is alignment, realignment, realignment, realignment. And when he said that, I thought, that's where Brian and I are. That's where you guys are. That's where these girls are. We're all realigning some things, realigning some thinking, realigning some attitudes, realigning strategy, getting clarity, getting vision, getting execution. We're realigning everything. So see, here's my wisdom for you. Do you see why it's important to surround yourself with people who have a different view of life, with people who understand conversations matter, with people who have people around you that are walking the same walk and thinking the same things and reading the same things, because God can do great things in that. I cannot sit and have a conversation with you if all you watch is 50 Shades of Grey. You're not going to understand Soar, nor are you going to care. We're not speaking the same language. That's like English and Japanese. They're not the same language. I cannot sit here and talk to you about Soar if you sit and you think to yourself, I'm nobody, I amount to nothing, I'm no good for nothing, I'm such a failure, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't. We're not speaking the same language. But when you begin to align yourself with people that are speaking the same language, I hope you don't take this group for granted, you guys. I hope you don't share this group with others. They're not speaking the same language. This is your language. And therefore, the stirring that is happening within you guys that I'm hearing about fires me up. I speak a language, and I can tell you guys that my language goes in one direction. And I love watching you who think, you know what? I want to ride the rhythm. TD Jakes talks about that. I want to ride the rhythm because apparently God is up to something huge. And I want to end this real quick, and then I'm going to give you my points and I'm going to open it up to the girls. I'm just giving you a whole bunch of downloads right now. This is what I said to Toby yesterday. You can ask every single one of these girls before we even read Soar. Here's what I said at the beginning of this year. President came, all the moo happened, and everybody's feelings, and everybody's so right, but yet nobody around the country. But I want to have a Facebook post about all of it. I said to these girls, hey, watch. I've said it to Riley. I've said it to anybody that's around me. This is a year of platform switch. This is a year where you are going to quickly be figured out if you're trusted with your influence or not. And you're seeing it happen with the Matt Lauers. You're seeing it happen with all the big athletes, the Kaepernick who took a knee. during the Pledge of Allegiance. You're seeing it begin to happen. God's opening up business for those of you who are willing to sort yourself out and soar. For those of you that are willing to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. If you don't know what business is, it goes back to that secret sweet spot that I talked about last night on the training, the treasure box moment. There will be a way. It's called access. It's called open doors, so that God will stick you right in the rhythm of business. Remember, T.D. Jakes said if Colonel Sanders tried to start KFC today, he'd fail because there's too many food and gluten and sugar and calories and blah, like all this stuff today. It's just crazy. But he started it when women had to go back to work. See the access God gave him of rhythm? And he's left a legacy for his family and his family's families and his family's families, and your family, because you know who KFC is today. Don't hesitate, don't question, don't disregard, and don't stop watching the rhythm of what is happening today. And so you may have a heart desire to start a personalized blanket company. You know what? Sort yourself out. Sort yourself out. Ask God to trust you with your emotions and your feelings and your attitude and your vision and your perspective. And as that rhythm is going, just because somebody over here wants to go off on the president and making an impact for sure, but favor will fall on those that honor the king. So here comes the rhythm, and it gets bumped right here because you have dishonored, so you no longer receive favor. That person has to be realigned. Well, God's rhythm's not going to stop right there, and he's going to go, well, forget it. We may just ride off the next decade because, apparently nobody's going to get personalized blankets anymore. No, he's going to say, oh, look, let's just put them right there in the rhythm, right there in the rhythm. And you begin to ride that rhythm. He's up to big things, y'all. He's up to big things. Oh my gosh, I wish I could just tell you what I see. He's up to so many big things. Find yourself, sort yourself out, and ask God to clearly implant you in access of his rhythm. It's so important. I'm going to stop right there because now I'm starting to get all fired up about it. Let me write down a few nuggets that I had written down here that I want to share with you guys that I just see coming up over and over and over is team. Who's in your corner? Who do you have speaking life over you? Life circle. I shared on this last night. It's so important that you have a life circle. How many times have you guys heard me say, begin with the end in mind? We talked about it. End your day with tomorrow in mind. End this year with 2018 in mind. Get married today with the end in mind. Have your children today and think of champion adults, not great kids. Think of the end in mind. You guys have heard me say that over and over. Begin your business with the end in mind. That gives you vision. That gives you longevity. That gives you the ability to run the race and persevere. That's what that really gives you. Patience. We're not a microwave, guys. We're not a microwave. The world will tell you. Our phones will tell you. The rainbow wheel on the computer will really testify that you don't have patience, right? At the end of the day, are you patient with the results? Are you patient with the transition so that you can get to the change? Process. You're not a microwave. I'm going to say it again. Personal growth, success is a process. So many people will give up on their marriage because I have tried so hard for 6 weeks. 6 weeks? You haven't even laced up your shoes. You went and got your shoes out of the closet is all you did. I gave this business a try. I tried really hard for 2 years. I'm 45 and I have been working at my job for 30 years or 20 years and I'm still broke and I still haven't gotten anywhere. But 2 years, my goodness, I'm giving it up. See, we become impatient for results. Because instead of focus on the little things that matter, those intangible things, we want to say it just doesn't work. That guy is better. That school is better. My teaching is better. Those relationships are better. That restaurant is better. We have a brand new great restaurant here in Argyle. And I keep saying to everybody, I don't want to hear what you think about it. Don't tell me until 6 months later, because I know what it's like to open a restaurant. And don't judge any restaurant on the first 6 months. The end of story. I don't want to hear about it, because I understand it takes time to get the cooks in order. It takes time to get unity in the staff. It takes time to perfect that menu that looks so amazing when you were writing it. I understand all that. And then attitude. I love that he talks about attitude, because attitude is everything. We see it on the school walls of America. I'm here to tell you, maybe we should post it in our own house. Attitude is everything. We're women. So I'm going to tell you, your sass is everything. I literally shared this with Brandy and Melissa yesterday. I said it was so awesome because Brian and I had a very, very intense conversation Saturday night. We had a very intense conversation. We're in a season of resetting, and we've got to get rid of to get into. We got to get through it to get to it. We've got to change our thinking. We've got to go into deeper strategy. We've gone from good to great, great to mastery. Now it's time to reset back to great, to find a new mastery. Like, we're in all of that ourselves. So we had a really in-depth conversation. And I said to Brandy and Melissa yesterday, I said, here's what the Holy Spirit showed me as I was sharing with Brian stuff, that all of you would quit if your husbands told you, or maybe your husbands would flip out if you told them. I don't know where your personal growth is. And I said to the girls, I said, the Holy Spirit clearly said to me, you're coming from a place of peace. And I thought, thank you. That's good, because my heart's not racing. I mean, I know this is borderline, like really strong, but I'm coming from a place of peace. That's why he heard what I said. That's why everything was so smooth, because I was coming from a place of peace. Attitude is everything, you guys. Don't ever, ever forget attitude, perspective, all of those things matter. So that's what I have to start us off, y'all. I'm looking down because I see all the girls right here, but I'm going to open it up to you girls and listen to what y'all have. So that's my beginning. What you guys got?
Well, I'll go off of that one because that conversation was awesome yesterday that we had. But even this little sentence on page 159 of effective leaders also maintain more than just a positive attitude. They cultivate a constructive attitude. Mm-hmm. And that, I mean, just you saying that, that's what it goes in line with is effective. If you're an effective leader of a business or a home or just a partnership in a relationship with anybody, maintaining not just a positive attitude that everything is happy and everything is fine and everything is great, which you need to not always look at the, glass half empty, but that constructive attitude is so key. And that's what I feel like I'm in a season, Brandon and I are in a season of that, but just that's, you can tell that's the longevity of leadership is not just always seeing the bright side of everything and having that positive rainbow attitude, but the constructive attitude of what can be better, what can we fix? And it's not a negative or a defensive attitude. It's just constructive. And so going along with that really stuck out to me on page 159. So I had more, but
I had that underlined too. I loved that. Effective leaders also maintain more than a positive attitude, constructive attitude. Because we all know there's those people that live up in the sky. Mm-hmm. And you're like, all that's great, but you're achieving nothing. Mm-hmm. We can, I call it Jesus juking. We can Jesus juke all day long, but you're doing nothing. Right. He's not going to barrel down your door. I mean, you can stay positive. You can be super spiritual and achieve nothing at the end of the day. Constructive attitude, what does that really mean? Mm-hmm. Does that mean, do I have check marks in life? You guys, there's a scoreboard on your family legacy. It's either a W or it's an L. And we all serve the same God. We all have the same Bibles, maybe a different translation. We all go to church, maybe a different church. So how come some W's are bigger than some other L's? Because it's a constructive attitude. I don't sit and I don't think, you know what, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to read books and God's going to change me. No. Brian and I just had this conversation last night. We were talking about a few people that we think, man, what is it about them? They just can't break through. They just can't grow. What is that? And Brian said, what do you think it is? I said, I think it's a choice. I think it's a choice because we've read the same books. We genuinely have. We've been through the same conferences. We've been through the same freedom. We've been through the same everything. It's a choice at the end of the day. And I said, because it's a menopausal question too. And I said, I'm on the tail end of menopause. So I've mastered how to walk through menopause, making a choice for joy and a choice for peace and being constructive and still doubling my check. And it's a choice at the end of the day. So I love that. And the title of that particular area, Melissa, is Avoiding Turbulence. I love it because we all understand that. Unless you've been in turbulence, you might not think that's funny. But I think it's funny because I've been in turbulence and it's not funny. So what else, you guys?
I'll pick up there because mine kind of goes along with the turbulence thing. I think it's so cool just to kind of use you for an example. We all know you've been through turbulence, and it could be easy to say, I've got this thing. I'm going to take over from here because I've been through turbulence and I know what it's like when people turn their back on me. But reading on page 128, literally right when we first started, and I'll kind of rewind for a minute and say, you can read this and think, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I just heard that. Or you can read it and think, that's so cool. I just heard that. Yeah. So instead of thinking it's a coincidence, think, wow, what is God trying to point out to me here? Because I literally just heard that. But that's what I thought this whole time. I thought, this is exactly what Robbie's been saying. Mm-hmm. So on page 128, it says, if you see an entrepreneur interviewed about success and of his or her business, then you can be certain that many others contributed to this journey. And then it also said right after that, you can't do mighty deeds by yourself in isolation. So I literally thought of Robbie and being in turbulence and sitting through everything she's walked through. And it could be easy for her to say, you know what, I'm going to start RGP. I'm going to do this thing and I've got it. I've got it from here. But knowing she's wise enough to know, hey, I'm not doing this by myself. And knowing everybody's gifts and strengths, that's how she's able to successfully do something the way that she does, because she utilizes the resources she has and understands that it takes a lot for a journey. So that was cool. I thought, man, that's awesome. And I mean, it's so cool, you guys, if you'll listen to what God's trying to put in front of you or show you. Robbie didn't read this book a long time ago and think, oh, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk out that next year. But to see, we always say, stay the course, baby girl. For me, I thought this is exactly what she's always said, stay the course, baby girl. It's kind of affirmation, I think, of here's what I have for you. Now go through this journey. And along the way, I'm going to give you little nuggets that are going to remind you, here's what I have for you. Go through the journey, stay the course. It's going to get hard, but I'm going to give you little points to remind you. So it was cool. I wrote down several other things, but I feel like I flipped through all these pages thinking, is Robbie writing this? Is this Robbie's name? Because I've heard this so much. So it was really cool just to take that perspective. And then to even know that chapter where it says assembling your dream team. Robbie literally calls her dream team. So it's all so cool. Very, very cool.
Well, and I think what you begin to see, you guys, it's what I shared last night on the training. Choose your people that you're going to focus on because they encourage you or inspire you or engage you, or they will give you the right. He also talks about in here is people who've really truly been in the trenches. And I think what happens is we begin to surround ourselves with people who are where we currently are. And we take that as the gospel. But at the end of the day, if you look at a high-end leader in anything, and then you take their hearts for the Lord, and you take their, obviously they have quiet time and they truly pray, you're going to see the marching out is the same. And so Brandy thinks this is all cool because she spends days with me. She spends quiet thought moments with me. To see what's cool is TD Jakes and I are on the same page. He wrote a book about it. You guys, and that's when you know that you have come together collectively with people who seek the Lord first, not themselves. And that's when the messages all begin to come together. And so I think it's pretty exciting, even for myself, Brian. It's a great reminder that I'm doing the right thing. You know, sometimes you got to look at this and go, oh my gosh, this is what I've been. It's kind of like when Andy Andrews came out with that book. I was in, where was I, you guys, when I started texting you the Sweat the Small Things? Do you remember that? I text the girls and I said, are you kidding me right now? I got so much slack for saying sweat the small stuff. You don't say that. You don't sweat the small stuff. Blah. And I always said I should have written a book about it. And then Andy Andrews writes a book about it. And I thought, thank you, Lord. That was a great download that you gave me. So what do you guys got, girls?
I'll go. So probably my favorite part of this whole entire thing was on page 150, the thrill of the kill. Yeah. And I loved it because he was talking to new entrepreneurs and he was talking to a millennial group, which I am a part of that group. And I also, I feel like millennials get the worst rap because we're babies. And I mean, there's so many things that people are like, ugh, millennials. And so I always like to think, okay, I'm a millennial and I want people to look at me different, like, oh, you're part of the millennial group and you're hustling, kind of a thing. So the thrill of the kill, he might as well have called that Garcia. And I feel like that whole entire thing was about just do it. Don't overthink it. Don't cry about the beginning of your business and you're not taking off and it's not growing as fast as you want it to do. Like, are you putting the work in? Are you just gonna do it? And Robbie always tells me that I tend to think about things and I think about things for too long and don't put the action step into it. And so I think that just hearing him say that, and then again, like Brandy was saying, I'm thinking, TD Jakes, you're just repeating what Robbie has always told me. Okay, I understand. That's just confirmation. Just do it. Don't overthink what you're doing. If you have a dream or a vision or something and you say, okay, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Garcia it, and I feel like that was so just kind of out and looking at me and Garcia, and just don't think about it, just run and just do it and figure it out on the way. And that's kind of what I was loving so much about that chapter, that it was kind of just reiterating what Robbie has always told me about action steps and Garcia and don't think. So
what I love, even that next page, Callie, on 153, when he talks about, now we have the kill, right? So a lot of people have the kill and then they stare at the deer. But what now, the prepared, ask yourself, the strategy, ask yourself, the preparation, the team, the life groups say, what are we going to do with the deer when we get the deer? So you can have the thrill of the kill, but then do you know the 3 T's of success? Right? So once you get to that success, is it, oh, I killed the deer, throw it away? Or does success really come in the strategy of what you do with the deer? I don't know why I'm using a deer, but you know what I mean. It's the strategy. So in what I do for a living, AdvoCare is one of our huge sources of income. Here's the reality is a lot of people think, man, if I could just get to that level, if I could just get to that level, if I could just get to that level. You're not ready to get to that level. There's a process and a perseverance and a perspective and a growth, everything that comes with that level. If one person frustrates you at work or on your team, at the level to which you are, imagine the thrill of the kill. And then you realize now I have 400 frustrating people. Am I ready for 1,000? Am I ready for 4,000? Am I ready for 20,000 people that have the potential to frustrate me? See, there's all the perseverance that goes with that. It's the preparation that goes with that. That makes you a wise leader. That's why we cannot be a microwave. You don't know what you're asking for when all you're asking for is the kill. If you haven't gotten the kill, it's because you're not ready for the kill. That's one of my things I ask all the time. How do I need to prepare for what you have for me? Because I want to be ready early. Can you call me prematurely prepared? Because I want to be ready early. What does the kill look like? I want to be ready for that. So show me, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? I'm willing to rethink. I'm willing to redo, all that kind of stuff. But so many people pray for the kill. Then you have the kill, and then you're too tired. And it's too overwhelming. And I can't do that. I can't find a babysitter. I can't read that many books. I can't do that. I can't talk in front of people. Remember what T.D. Jakes said in the very beginning. God gives you a tree. We have a tree. What are you going to do with the tree, love? Because what you do with the tree is really, truly where the soaring and what we know now as a plane does for the Wright brothers. That's huge. That's so huge. Thank you for sharing that, Callie. Danielle, you?
Yes. Okay. So I think what stuck out to me the most through these chapters was about process. And I love that Robbie opened up talking about process, and every one of these girls shared about process. Chapter 7, when he's talking about relationships and you are who you know kind of thing, I think it took me back really quickly on a journey, my journey with all of this of as soon as I started, when I first met all of these girls and I started to just follow from afar, like everyone watching this live right now, I just thought there was so much that challenged my thinking. And there was so much that was a serious process I had to walk myself through. And I remember just taking notes like crazy and thinking, I don't know that right now I agree 100% with this, but I've got to write it down and then I'm going to revisit it. And then it was a process of revisiting it a lot of times to think, okay, but there's something to this because I see the fruits of all of their lives and I don't have those fruits in mine. So I don't know how I'm going to get to the end of it, but I know it's a process that I have to embrace. And so I think even with the treasure box visual that Robbie gives us, I think it's easy to kind of think, well, but you know what? I don't really think I've ever had a treasure box. I don't really think I know what I'm good at. I don't know what I'm passionate about. And I've totally, absolutely walked through that, especially as I grew closer with all of these girls and I saw what all of their giftings were. And I thought, not me. That I don't do this like Robbie. I can't do that like Callie. And we know about comparing ourselves and how dangerous that is. But I think it's a process of we all do have a treasure box and it all does look really different. And it's embracing that process. And the first time Robbie tells you, close your eyes, what's in your treasure box? If it doesn't come to you right away, it doesn't mean that it's empty. It just means that for you, it's digging a little bit more in that process. So when Robbie opened up for us today, I had this vision of all of us girls in RGP standing in a circle, holding hands, kind of like the Grinch Stole Christmas when they all in Whoville, when they all gather, like a big circle like that. But there were a lot of people that were standing behind the circle. There were a lot of girls that weren't locking arms just yet. They were kind of standing back and not in that circle. And that was me. And so, in fact, Robbie, she used to call me silent observer because I think it was such a process for me that I would kind of sit back a lot and just kind of take it all in and try to figure out, how does this apply to me? And what's the process I've got to walk my life through to get to the other side, to know who I am. And I think that in chapter 7, and this is something a lot of what I've been hearing lately. So when Robbie opened up of, if you're hearing the same thing over and over, know that you're in tune with God, but then you also pay attention and try to figure out what that message is he's giving you. So I think we figure out everything we're not, but we don't ever walk through the process of figuring out who we are and what we are. And the relationships in your life aren't going to matter. You're not going to have open doors or access or those things if you're not strong in who you are and if you haven't taken yourself through that process. So, and I think we all pick up the process in different places because our stories are all different. So I just quietly observed a lot, and I didn't speak up much at all. And so a lot of the process for me through all of my growth has been learning to find my voice and to speak up when I need to. And, so I think your best friend who's in RGP with you, they might pick up their process at a different place, and you might feel like you're behind or that it's not coming as easily or as quickly to you, but it's your process and your end result is the same but different. As Robbie trains, we're all shooting for the same thing, for success in whatever we're called to and to make an impact with people, but at the same time it's different. So your journey looks different, your process looks different, but just press into that and you will look up a year from now, and you might not be at the end because I don't think we ever truly arrive, but you are going to be light years ahead of where you are. So embrace the process. It's so worth it. That's what I have.
So good. That's so good. And, and with the process, I love that Danielle shared that because you have to take your age into consideration, right? So he talks here about acting your age. And I think one of the things that's so phenomenal about that is for whatever reason, he needed me to be 46 to do what I've done this year. For whatever reason, maybe it was due to myself. Maybe it was the process I had to understand. Maybe it's the experiences I've had to walk through. Maybe it's the tragedies I've had to live. Maybe it's the 2 foreclosures and a bankruptcy I've had to have. Maybe it's bearing a child. Maybe it's, I don't know. And I don't question that. What I do question is myself. I don't question the plan ever. I question, am I successful in the current season? Because the process is different for everyone. But I loved in here, he talked about acting your age. I'm going to go to that real quick, 169. And he says, another common setback many new entrepreneurs encounter. New entrepreneurs, it doesn't mean you're 20, you could be 50. New entrepreneurs encounter is the limitation of their generational perspective. That can go both ways. It goes back to Callie saying she's a millennial. There's a whole different, it has nothing to do with age. That age has a mindset attached to it. It has I don't need anyone to tell me what to do. It has I want to live the extreme life without the extreme work. Like there's all kind of jokes about millennials. And I know these girls always say, I don't want to be categorized as that. And I love that about them, but they are. And so Callie's right. What beautiful journey for y'all that are millennials to rise up, because at the end of the day, there's nothing new under the sun. The Bible tells us that there's nothing new under the sun. Character doesn't change. Perseverance doesn't change. Human history and behaviors doesn't change. What appalls one generation still appalls the next generation. Because it's become acceptable doesn't mean it's less appalling. So you've got to begin to ask yourself, then you flip it the other way to the older generation. Y'all got to chill out because things are passing you by. I know that I still have to ask these millennials. I don't know how to do a social media post that's correct. I have no idea. What do you mean I didn't filter my face? I didn't realize I could filter my face. I mean, there's all these funny things, and I'm not going to say no, 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 no. I say, help me understand it. Now, there's some things I may go, you know what? I'm not going to be so stringent. My goal isn't to be the perfect social media girl. My goal is to make an impact. And so Callie's expertise or whoever else is helping me with that, Brandon is the other one. I don't want to be perfect. I want to make an impact. So therefore we meet in the middle, but I'm not stiff arming that way. and I'm not stiff arming this way. I want to know how to be in that perfect rhythm. So in the reality of business, you guys, it goes back to what our business coach said. When he first looked up not too long ago, when he hired his coach, and his coach said, you've got to get email. He goes, I literally looked at him and I said, why? Fax machines work just fine. And he said, can you imagine where I'd be today if I refused to start checking email and just insisted on fax machines? Some of you refuse to do face messages or Glide or Marco Polo or whatever it may be. Some of you refuse to have a conversation with a brand new business on text. If that's how they respond, then do it, right? So you've got to act your age. You've got to know there's nothing new under the sun. Business is still business, but you've got to be open. If you're a millennial, be open to our wisdom, because strategy doesn't change. Principles will never, ever change. The way you do some things may, but principles will never change. I'm 46, so I've got to go to Callie or Brandy or Brandon or whoever it is, that generation, and ask for some younger wisdom on maybe some younger technology. I'm not going to ask them how to run my business. They don't have a clue. But I do need to turn around and say, so tell me, what is the hashtag? Do you guys remember me asking you that? It wasn't even that long ago, was it, Callie? Maybe months? I'm like, Callie, what is a hashtag? Are you serious? And I could have said, that's stupid. I don't want to use hashtags, but I'm not thick. I've got to know my age too. That's so huge here, you guys. The age-related cultural lens. Back up. I want to start landing this plane with this. On page 165, I love this paragraph. He says, think of the countless entrepreneurs who have tirelessly tackled, tinkered, tweaked, and teased different aspects of their business model until they found the perfect blend, AKA rhythm, for their market, right? You can say this is never going to work. Literally, it's what I said about Buc-ee's. I'm fascinated with the story about Buc-ee's. Do you know why? Because I'm sure someone told those guys, that'll never work. There's Circle K's and what are those other ones? Racetracks and 7-Elevens, and they're everywhere. And they said, I don't care. Here's what I want to provide an experience. I want people to be able to have a one touch. I want them to be able to have whatever it is they need to be able to shop on the go. Everybody's on the road. See, that's so smart. It's no different than Chick-fil-A. You'll never make it if you close on a Sunday. You know what? My root system is the right system. I don't want to be open on a Sunday. If you guys don't know his story, that's a phenomenal story. People want burgers. They don't want chicken. Wrong. People will never, the multi-millions of dollars that you spend in the second and the third drive-through is a waste of money. And he said, too bad. I'm going to provide time for my people. He's the only drive-through that would do that. Go look at the numbers of Chick-fil-A. It's amazing. 3 drive-throughs, but 1 drive-through window. It's genius, y'all. He's genius. So you begin to look at these things, but literally, you know, what we do in Advocare, people will literally go, that'll never work because this market is so saturated. I think what? There's 700,000 distributors. Maybe 2% of those actually pursue a business. Do you know how many people are in this country? It goes back to what I said on here. You're not my competition for anything. I don't really care what you do. You're not my competition. Do you know how many billions of people are on this planet? Real estate, there's brand new realtors all day long. It's perspective. Nothing is saturated. It's how you view it is what is saturated. And so you begin to find that perfect blend. Begin to really pay attention in your business. Callie and I always have these chats of, Callie, listen, I'm telling you, what do I always tell you, Callie? You want my money, sister, right?
Yes.
You want to share that? What I always share with you, you're not chasing a 25-year-old's money.
Right. So Robbie, at the beginning of me figuring out Callie out at home, I think that so much of this is what I like. This is what I personally like. Like for me, I don't wear glitter. There's not glitter in my house at all. I don't do glitter. However, so in my mind, I was thinking, I'm not going to put glitter on my stuff. And Robbie was like, you're not going to put glitter on anything then, or like metallics or whatever, then you're completely cutting out a whole entire group of people that's what they love. And they're going to go on your website and see there's not anything that I would actually put in my home here. You have to stop thinking of like a one set mind track of this is what I like. You have to grab everyone from every generation, every kind of income to say, okay, the people that love glitter, I do have glitter over here. Okay, you like bright colors. I'm not a bright color person, but you love bright colors. So here's some things that have bright color on them. You have to broaden your spectrum because you want you want people to come and be like, yes, I want to be a customer on Callie Atwood Home because she gives me what I love. So it for me, and I'm going to tell you and just be honest, I have a stubborn streak. So I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. And Robbie's like, fine, then don't do it. Let's see where you end up. And it's like, okay, you know what? I will be stubborn for 5 seconds. And then I realize you're right. And I am wrong. And I don't want to be that way. So tell me your ways. You know, you've gone before me. You have a successful business and you have people of all generations on your team. And that's what I want for my customers. So taking her wisdom, does Robbie know how to create pillows? No, but I didn't think, well, you've never owned a business outside of this, or you don't know what interior design is. And well, I didn't do that. I thought this is your wisdom coming from a 46-year-old woman, knowing that you see what other women like, and I need to take that and run with it. So that was her wisdom for me.
And and I think, okay, what Callie just said, you may need to go back and rewatch that one little thing she just said. It goes back to principles, hashtag ONE, A&D 2, 1 and 2. I'm going to teach you guys 1 and 2 in January. Don't you worry. All of us girls right here, a lot of you think 1 and 2 means in an argument with my husband, and it does. But 1 and 2 could also mean Callie Atwood Home. When I said, Callie, it's not about you. What is about you are your principles. I'm not going to print a pillow for you with cuss words. Sorry, whether you like it or not. Principles don't change. But it's not about you. You've got to think of everybody else because you're not after your own money. You're after other people's money. And so therefore, I want to provide something that you love. And it was a huge breakthrough for her. And I remember you even saying, I'm not going to do maroon. I am not going to do, and I let her talk, which I usually always do. And then I said, okay, well then enjoy your 2 colors or whatever it was. I don't remember. That's not the exact conversation, but you see my point. You see the shirt I have on. It's got glitter. Because in all reality, you guys, Callie will instill her very best thinking and puts it out on the table for me, Brian, Steven, Jamie to like dogs and go, oh, that was a good idea. Or that's horrible. Callie, that's horrible. And she's able to go, oh. And she had a booth just the other day and I looked at her and I said, where is XYZ? And she goes, what was it you said, Callie? Oh my God, as soon as you just said that, I don't know why I didn't ask you guys what you thought about my new setup. Remember?
Sure. Yeah.
And so even something so simple, right? Because you guys, we get so passionate about what we love. It's those blind spots that I talked about yet last night on that training that we miss at the end of the day. So let me finish reading this. From Colonel Sanders' kitchen producing his secret recipe of 11 herbs and spices, to Mark Zuckerberg's dorm room at Harvard launching what we now know as Facebook, most entrepreneurs enjoy the process of bringing their products to the market as much as they enjoy selling them. See, you fall in love with the process because the process brings you the check. If all you're looking for is the kill, then you're going to get tired along the way. There's joy in the process. I'm going to go back again to my training last night. What is your sweet spot? It goes back to when I sat down with Callie. I was like, Callie, you cannot spend 5 minutes in my home without redoing something or saying we need to get a new pillow for this place. Or that's all I hear you talk about. Venture out, sister. No different than my correcting Melissa about writing children's book. I thought that's so strange to me. No different than me. These girls know what we're talking about today. True or false, y'all, is 99% of our conversations at lunch, watching football on TV with the guys. I mean, I talk about this kind of stuff all the time. So sometimes, Brandy, the same thing. I said, Brandy, why don't you do that for a living? You can put together birthday parties and events like nothing I've ever seen. Like, what are you doing? That's what you're excited about. You don't want a daycare. She stopped doing her daycare and now she's shining in her sweet spot. See that? So you've got to ask yourself, what do I love? What would I do for free? Because when you master that process, the check will come with it because people will begin to have value in what you have value for. But it's not until you get in that sweet spot. I've got chills. This is for someone. It's not until you get in that sweet spot and you value yourself and you realize you're not free. You're not free. You're better than free. Then other people begin to value what you value. And so if you're valuing somebody else's social media, if you're valuing somebody else's dreams, then they're going to value that for you. But when you begin to walk out what you value and what your sweet spot is, it's so attractive, you guys. It's so attractive. Steve Jobs, the co-founder and CEO of Apple, once said, I'm convinced that about half of what separates the successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful ones is pure perseverance. That, my friends, in a microwave world that we live in, is $1 million statement, because Steve Jobs is not alive today to see all these amazing iPhones that we had. He had a perspective for an iPod. That's what he had. But he persevered through it. When they fired him, he persevered through it. If you haven't seen that movie, go watch the movie and listen to the meat of the movie. Don't message me about what you don't like about it and how horrible and mean he was. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the meat of the movie. Just like Founder, Erica. She knew. Erica texted me and said, okay, I gave in. I went and saw Founder. You're right. I had to get past some things that personally went against what I believe. Me too. But the meat of it was phenomenal. Like what happened was phenomenal. It's no different, you guys. Begin to circle yourself around people who've achieved it, whatever it may be, whether it's in your marketplace or not, they have value to add to you. I don't want to start an Apple company, but I want to know Steve Jobs' brain. I don't want to go found a McDonald's, but I want to understand his resilience and his inability to hear people be so negative. I don't want to go start Nike, but I want to know, what was he thinking? Like how do you take a piece of clothing and believe that it's going to be superior? I want to know what you're thinking. Allow 2018 to be that for you. Allow yourself to sit long enough and care about your own wings, because your wings have the possibility. They have the declaration. They have the word. They have the promise that they will soar on the wings of eagles. So any last minute 2 cents, girls, that you guys may have?
I would just say that I loved about the process and everything. And at the very beginning of Cali Out with Home, it's so easy to have, I'm such a big vision person. Like, this is where I see it's going. This is how big I think it's going to be. And Robbie was so good about saying, you have all this big vision and everything, but you still have to do the daily tasks, the everyday nitty gritty hustling of figuring out the daily. because it's those every single day, little bitty process steps that's going to get you to that big vision. So be okay with the process and the struggles and all of that, but getting together a dream team to help you go through that is probably one of the most important things. I have Stephen and Jamie Lyles I send to them stuff daily. They're the nitty gritty every single day. And Stephen always tells me, Martha Stewart wakes up every single morning saying, how can I make my business better? He goes, can you imagine if you did that every single day? I'm like, yes, Stephen. Yes. And he's like, you're going to be Martha Stewart. You have to do the daily tasks every single day. And then I have Robbie that she's like, did you think about this? Have you thought about the bigger picture of this, you know? And then I have my cheerleaders of Brandy, Melissa, and Danielle. So making sure that you're walking through the process and don't get frustrated doing that success will come if you do the daily tasks every single day and then figure it out and just do it and Garcia it. So
that's good, Callie. That's so good. Anybody else?
I'll share just one thing. On the last page of this section, 176, he said, you need to fail boldly if you want to succeed extravagantly. So I thought what was so neat in a simple sentence is he didn't say you may fail or there's a chance that you're going to fail. He just flat out said you need to fail. Because if you're not taking those chances, you might not have the success at the scale of what you're desiring. And so I think you just, whether it's in your business or right now, if this is personal growth for you or family or marriage or whatever the success is in multiple areas, just know that. And sometimes I think you just hold on as tight as you can. And that's been true for my journey a lot when I feel like things are really fast and furious. And we had a lot of life change and growth in all areas of our life so fast. And sometimes it's holding on to the coattails of all of these girls and who they were in my life. And knowing that as long as I didn't let go, I was going to arrive to the places where I was seeking in each of those areas of my life.
I'll add one more thing quickly. I love what everybody said so far, but I love on page 174 where it says, as an entrepreneur, you must learn when to ask for help and when to focus on what only you can do. So that's entrepreneur, like Robbie says, mom, whatever it is you want to be, use that and put your word there. But, you know, we know when to ask for help. And if you don't know when to ask for help, then you'll stay stagnant in where you are. And the very next sentence says, if you rely only on yourself, your income is limited to you being your only resource. Yep. So I think that's huge for what Robbie was just talking about, because if you want to be this little minute, whatever it is, if you're growing or your process or your business, whatever it is you're seeking, you're okay with it being small, then that's fine. But don't wonder why it's not growing if you're not asking for help, or if you're not allowing somebody to come in, like Danielle said, and realizing who everybody is in your life. Because Robbie is 100% spot on when she says that's our everyday life. You know, she'll look at us and say, why is this happening this way? Or why are you doing this way? Because she knows we've gone to her and we've said, hey, you know what, here I am asking you, what do you see? Where's my blind spots? Fill me in on whatever you see at any given moment. So it could be something where she says, hey, I realized you did this with your kids. Why'd you do this way? Or, hey, I realized that I was there for that conversation with Callie and Robbie. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? But I mean, she's right, because Callie was saying, well, that's not what I want to do. And that's not who I want to be. Robbie said, okay, well, then you're only going to sell to people who are like you. And so, you know, just having that aspect of knowing that if you're fine with being small and being your only resource, then that's going to be your income too.
Do y'all see why we need our own reality show? I think it would be a constant source of greatness, to be quite honest. I think I want to say this to you as these girls were talking. I literally thought my prayer for y'all is that in this group, that it becomes a we situation, that the me goes to we, that you come outside of yourselves and create a we within this very group. I'm listening to these girls talk and I'm thinking, this is kind of what we just talked about yesterday. And then Brandy and I talked about at the game Friday. And then Melissa and I talked about yesterday. And then like, this is our circles. This is our conversations. You guys, life changes when you truly surround yourself with people that have intentional talk all day long. Intentional talk. Now, we're not saying that you don't have permission to be irritated or frustrated or cry. Of course you do. You always have permission to be not okay. But you have a little bit of time to be not okay, because it's in that little bit of time that the enemy can wipe you flat out. And we don't want to see that happen. And so we hear it, we surface it, and then we move through it. That's my biggest prayer for you guys, because again, we're sitting here and we're having the same, we would be having this conversation even if we weren't live. And I hope that encourages you guys. I think you can see that. And my biggest prayer for you ladies is to find the we in Robbie's gathering place. It truly, truly is. And remember, if they're not a part of Robbie's gathering place, it's difficult for you to take what you've got here and go have conversations with other people, because they haven't walked through the process and the transformation and the transition with you guys. So that being said, our last section is next week. We soar to new heights. Then you shall take delight in the Lord, and I will make you ride on the heights of the earth. My goodness gracious, who doesn't want that in our marriage, in our children, in our business, in our checks, in our wealth, in our clarity, in our vision, in our relationships? I want to be to the highest heights of the earth. And so when you see what he's promised you and you don't feel like you're anywhere close to what he's promised you, you're in the right place at the right time if you're willing to readjust, and if you're willing to transition, and if you're willing to transform, and if you're willing to rethink, to be quite honest. So last section is section 4, next Monday. Thanks, girls, of course. Melissa, head this way so we can go Christmas shopping. Callie, get to work. I know you have a lot of orders. Brandy, Danielle, I don't know what y'all are doing today, but I'll talk to you guys in a minute. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.